Connor doesn't tell anyone that we met on Mutual. Like, he
Yeah,
tries to
really
avoid it
don't.
at all costs, you know?
Yeah.
Online dating often gets a bad rep. Dating in Utah, I think a lot of people can look in on that from the outside perspective and go, those Utahns, they're crazy.
All the choices that presumably are available make it almost impossible to settle on a person.
People are usually embarrassed to admit that they met their boyfriend or their girlfriend or their husband or their wife through online dating.
You know, people thought, oh, Mutual, you're just basing people off of looks.
If it's replacing in-person interactions, we are selling out the health and well-being of human beings.
Who cares what method you meet somebody? If you meet somebody that you love and you're gonna make a wonderful life with, I don't care.
Here is who I am. I'm willing to share this part of myself with you. It's difficult when people reject that. I think that dating apps are a tool that we sometimes don't know how to use correctly.
Great. Well, my name's Michael Patterson. I am Mutual's president. I actually am one of the founding members of Mutual.
I think one of the biggest risks that comes to online dating is the element of vulnerability that it places on an individual, because you really have to put yourself out there on your profile in a very honest and vulnerable way.
I think they would kind of make fun just because it's like you're basically putting yourself in such a vulnerable spot, you know, of putting yourself out there literally to find someone to date.
It felt unauthentic because I didn't get to see how a person interacted with me. It felt superficial. Like I'm gonna be swiping up on pictures that I thought were attractive and starting conversation about whatever.
I felt like people were comparing me based off my looks rather than my personality to other girls. And that I was like, that just doesn't seem right to me.
And I think there's a couple main reasons why it gets a bad rap. One of them is because online dating honestly is a little bit easy. People maybe don't want to think that they're taking the easy way out and dating somebody or finding their partner, that all they did was sit on a couch and swipe a couple of times and they found someone that they were compatible with. You don't have to leave your house, you don't have to leave your apartment, you don't have to get all ready, you don't have the stress of like sitting one-on-one or awkward pauses, because when it's online, it's on your times, when you want to respond, when you want to engage. And if you don't want to engage at all, you totally can do that too.
You hear your parents and how they met, and you hear all these stories and you're like, wow, I can't wait to meet my wife in some crazy, unique way.
No, we met on a phone.
That's what kind of unmotivated me, I guess, just kind of for that perception, and you kind of want that story to tell your kids.
In general, especially if you're talking to the older generation of members of our church, like parents or grandparents, I think it's a foreign concept to be meeting on an online platform. So I think it maybe is a negative connotation. You know, what happened to going out and like meeting somebody and courting somebody off the street, or meeting them at church, or meeting them at school? I think for people our generation and younger, it's not necessarily as negative, more so it is like it's just another tool in the arsenal to be able to meet new people. As human beings, we're obsessed with kind of the chase and the challenge, that we charismatically want to say, oh, I found them because they were walking through the library and they were so beautiful and I had to go talk to them and now we're married. Like, we want the charismatic chase that can come that isn't often found through online dating. We're the first generation to really have online dating at our fingertips. Our parents' generation, their parents' generation, it was all the traditional, set up on dates, met somewhere, like very traditional ways of meeting your partner. And because we're really the pioneers of this first age of online dating, there's a lot of kinks to figure out. We don't have a lot of success stories of people that were married for 40, 50, 60 years because of online dating. And because it's so new, there's an element of risk with it. And that risk is something that I think scares people. And not only scares them, but it makes it a little bit embarrassing.
In Utah, the predominant religion is members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And it affects their dating app usage in very interesting ways.
Latter-day Saints, we grow up with a strong orientation to family. It's unique in the world. It's unique among religions.
I think there are a lot of people who feel this kind of pressure to date so that they can eventually get married and be sealed in the temple. So there's naturally pressure there.
We put a lot of importance and a lot of emphasis in finding your person, finding the person that you want to build an eternal family with. Dating seems to have really high stakes. First dates seem to be a little more stressful because you could be meeting your husband.
We have BYU, and then we have UVU just a few miles away, both of those with tens and tens of thousands of students. There are so many people And so many people who are aligned in their beliefs and their worldviews, their culture, their experiences growing up, that there are genuinely a lot of really good options to choose from.
And I think online dating is super appealing because we have that desire to find our eternal family and to like build the family unit, that if we can do it online, then we can do it without the awkwardness, without like a lot of the like stresses that come with traditional dating. That online does become very desirable.
People have to make judgments on profiles. Someone may see a barrage of pictures of individuals, right? And may make judgments about what the person is wearing. A proportion of women will automatically swipe down on a man's profile if he has posted a shirtless gym picture on his profile. Similarly, there is a portion, smaller, of men who will swipe down automatically if a woman has posted a picture of her in a bikini on a dating app, right? So people will see things on profiles and make judgments about their character, about how they live their beliefs. This measure of judgment, whether righteous or not, is a massive factor in the dating scene in Utah.
I'm looking for someone that I can get married in the temple with, or I'm looking for someone that has a similar faith journey as me. I mean, as a member of the church, that's something you should be proud of. Mutual was started by Cooper Boyce. He's one of my business partners, and he was the first president of Mutual. He had been dating at BYU using the dating apps at the time. I think Tinder was the dominant one that he was using at the time. And then he decided to move to Arizona. And he moved to Arizona, popped open his app, and his dating life died because he wanted to date members of the church, and so his pool went from massive to super teeny tiny. And he realized, okay, I guess it's time for me to hop on an LDS dating app, and he went and looked at the solutions that were available at the time and was shocked to see just the lack of quality in those solutions. And so he was brave or naive or bold enough to say, hey, I'm gonna go try to build this. And I got involved shortly after, and we put together the first version of Mutual in 2016. We launched it actually the week I graduated in April. I remember thinking, is anyone going to use this thing? And it went on to be really popular. We have always had a team of really passionate people. We've been really proud that we're an app built by members of our community, and that we had people who really loved this community, that wanted to help it succeed and believed in the opportunity of being able to help connect members of the church. And we're really proud of the product we put into the market. We feel like it's top notch, and we can go toe to toe with companies that are 10 times bigger than 100 times bigger than us. The majority of people meeting are actually meeting on dating apps and meeting on Mutual, because our in real life opportunities have really pivoted and changed. I mean, a lot of people now, they're in a situation where they may work remote from home in a place where their dating pool is very small. And so using a dating app may be the best opportunity that they have to meet people in real life even. You should take every opportunity you have. You should go to your YSA events, you should go to church and try to meet people, you should try to network with people at work or at the gym or where you're going. And yeah, you should use Mutual and meet all the great people that are also similar to you, looking for the same thing.
Marriage is a really big deal. It's a really profound gift in people's lives. It has profound ramifications culturally, socially, for the well-being of children, for humanity, but it has profound ramifications for our flourishing as individuals. We have seen the marriage rate drop by 60% in the last 30 years. And we are now at a time where more of marriageable age people are single than are married. And just a few months ago, University of Chicago, Peltzman came out with data that suggested the single distinguishing factor of happiness in the United States is marriage, whether or not people are married. And so it's always an important topic to talk about relationships, but especially now, where it's as if young adults are, it's like a wasteland in the sense of trying to navigate how to get into marriage is eluding them, because we don't have the same pathway that my generation, my parents' generation had, which involved dating, a sequence in the way that you engaged, then to the pursuit of marriage. Now it's just much more complex. Are we dating? Are we not? Cohabiting is a normative process outside of Latter-day Saint faith. It is a really complex time, I think, unlike any other time in the past for young adults to kind of navigate. How do you get into stable relationships? How do you date? How do you pursue marriage? the two hardest things are finding people to date, right? And that being a good experience. And so we've got to figure out ways for people to connect. And I think dating apps are trying to address that. The risk, of course, is what happens, and this is what you find in the national data as well, is that there's just so much swiping, right, to the next person that all the choices that presumably are available make it almost impossible to settle on a person. Women are more likely to say they have a bad experience with dating apps. That's national data as well. And they're also less likely to feel like they can find someone that meets their expectations. So there's like fewer men perceived to be available as good potential dating partners than the reverse. We have to recognize the ecology that we're in is a highly sexualized, like appearance-oriented soulmate culture, which means that the problem is me finding the right person, right? If I just could shop enough and if I could just find what jived well with me in a brief image, then that's the way to a happy relationship. And of course, we all know strong relationships are really built on friendship as the base. That's hard to establish if you're in a consumer orientation where just more choices somehow makes it more likely that I'm going to find the soulmate that will just make me happy, that will be my person. If I could just swipe some more, right, then I'll find that person, as opposed to how you build relationships is committing in some way to that person. We really do need, as human beings, in-person interaction just for our physical, psychological well-being. If it's replacing in-person interactions, we are selling out the health and well-being of human beings. I heard a Latter-day Saint female leader say, we have to quit pressuring them to get married. They don't even know how to be friends. So she was looking at the divorce risk of marriage for newly, young adult return missionary people. And so we've lost in the ecology that has changed from technology. We are reshaping our capacity to actually communicate, talk, know, care for, develop friendship. And that's going to be the foundation of relationships. It's like we've just got to bolster our in-person interactions, our service, our care for one another, our way of getting to know people, not even for dating purposes, but just coming to be friends.
How can we make dating easier? And really, to me, that is the role of technology. Technology shouldn't just be a time suck that exists to use up all of our time. It should be there to augment and help our real life be better. I think that's with social media, one of the things that we've really been struggling with as a generation is we have so much information and so many opportunities to look at all these cool things, but does that come at the expense of real life things? And how can we put controls in? And I mean, too much of anything is bad. This is one of the areas I'm most passionate about, and it's the area that if I went in a time machine, it's the area I didn't expect to be as much of the time that we put into. I think last year we looked at it and 30% of all of our engineering hours went into safety features. There's a myriad of challenges with safety, but I mean, one of the principal ones is just, is the person who they say they are? And I mean, we've got the high-profile catfishing stories, and so we're really proud of our verification system that we put up. And I mean, you either hold up a copy of the Book of Mormon or you do a selfie verification system, and those are manually reviewed by real humans to make sure that whoever's using the account is who they say they are. And so we've really done a crusade against online scammers. Anybody who's exhibiting any of our indicators with suspicious behavior, we then will reach out to them, ask them to double verify their ID now with a government ID to make sure they are who they say they are. And dating behavior is really tough because I think as members of the church, we too often neglect some of the hard conversations that need to be had with kids. And so a lot of people enter the dating experience really naive or without some of the tools to be safe. So we do our best to try to help augment that. And so we have an entire journey campaign when you join Mutual where we'll send you a set of notifications and emails, and you can go into our blog and we've got dozens of articles on dating safety and how to keep yourself safe and what to do. And a lot of it is I mean, it's really basic. It's on your first date, go to a public place. Let someone know where you're going. there's a lot of things we can do to put ourselves in situations that are going to promote safety and help us be in better situations. They're still strangers when you meet them. And if you were to meet a stranger anywhere, you would have a certain amount of guard that you'd keep up when you first meet them. And so my suggestion would be make sure you're cautious enough and you take the normal precautions. Because if you short circuit some of those steps, that's where almost all of the bad things end up happening, is that you're going too fast, too quickly with someone. And you need to make sure that you earn trust with people and that you set up boundaries and make those clear to be able to protect yourself and what you're wanting to do.
The big things that we talk about on the podcast about using online dating platform is, one, making sure that you're not having them pick you up or you're not picking them up at their place. Like, you meet in public and there's a specific time and there's a specific date and there's a time frame in which you're meeting.
I think that the correct way to use dating apps is to communicate with people the way that you'd communicate with them in person. Because I think a lot of people don't know what to expect on first dates because there's no guidebook, a lot of the times on what should happen or what shouldn't happen, right? And there's a lot of cues and signals that need to be read, right? And those things can be solved a lot when there's just a conversation around it. Focus on what your profiles say about you, not what you think they mean. What do other people think they mean?
I don't think online dating is going anywhere, but it's going to always continue to evolve. And what we've heard most recently is just that people are getting burnt out. And so I think the future of online dating is, what can we as technology partners do to make things easier, to make it easier to have conversations, to make it easier to be able to find the people who are the ones that you're looking for. Really, how do we go beyond just pretty pictures? How do we help people see a little bit deeper and get past that and kind of get to the spot where, okay, hey, I'm really interested in this person and I've got the tools and the setup to be able to kind of shoot my shot and be able to connect with great people.
Like, the natural person just sort of resists the effort when it's just easier to escape into other stuff. Gaming, movies, right? Studies. And so in many ways, what's become complicated is that that being with people, coming to know people in person, feels harder than it did in the past. And so it takes an effort that we're not used to engaging in if we're just in an online world all the time. And I think so it's just saying, it is worth it. It is worth it. It is so worth it. It's so worth it to give oneself in pursuit of strong relationships. And it's gonna feel like effort because we're not used to engaging that way with other people. I think being single for a long time, I'm sensitive to the fact that I wanted to be married a lot, and it seemed to be impossible. It seemed to elude me. And one of the beautiful gifts in the gospel of Jesus Christ is it is a religion about relationships. We are called to work together to create Zion. I mean, the data suggests there will be a growing proportion of women and men who will not marry. We want to reverse that because marriage is really important. But we also have to appreciate that this work of God as being children of God, as brothers and sisters, is serving, caring, loving one another, and being deeply connected, regardless of whether that's in marriage.
So don't get overly focused on the end goal. Like, obviously you need to know, like, my goal is I want to one day be married and have kids. Like, that's the end goal. But like, you don't go there in one step. Like, go meet great people and go on dates, go ask people out and build relationships. On average, it takes a year or two. I mean, the dating's not easy, and it never has been easy. And so I think everyone's like, this is so hard now. It's always been hard. So be patient, but make sure you're enjoying life because there's so many cool people out in the world. It's never been easier to connect with amazing people.
If dating really is about meeting your person, like finding ways to build a life with somebody else, it has to be based in honesty and authenticity. And yes, that's vulnerable, and yes, that's hard, but if you want online dating to work, and you want to like really jump into it and maybe see what can come from it, you will have everything to gain by making the personal push to be vulnerable and authentic in your presentation.
I think the right way to use it is to just be authentic and to be you and just be kind. Be kind and authentic. I honestly feel like that is the best way. I also think a lot of people put hard effort into it, so respect it. Like when they text you, respond, or like if you're not interested, just simply say like, hey, thanks for reaching out, but I'm not interested. Because I think a lot of people, text and get their hopes up and then just wait and wait and wait.
Is I've actually had a lot of friends that have met their spouse through a dating app, and so that also has opened my eyes, because the people that have met their spouses, they have depth and they're authentic to who they are, and that also played a part in changing how I thought towards it, because those people are authentic and those people are meaningful. So, and they made it work and they found their spouse. So it opened my eyes a lot.
The most satisfying part about the job is when you talk to someone that you played a small part in their journey that has changed their life. And I mean, our role in the whole business is to help people connect.
The whole work of Jesus Christ is to bring us into a place where we are in deep, intimate, loving relationship with the entire family of God. That's what heaven is. It's a quality of relationship more than a place. And so we practice that all the time. We're practicing in our ministering relationships, in our service to one another, in our engaging, in our marriages, in our families, in all of it. That's what we are preparing for. It is worth it. It is worth the pursuit of that. There's a reason we talk about marriage as the foundational institution, and we need more messages about that.